I think the election is going to be decided by masculinity. What do I mean by that? The voters that are kind of up for grabs right now are not young women. They're going Harris. It's not old people.
Yeah.
Old men. They're going Trump. Young men aren't really going towards the Republican Party, as a lot of people would say, or the manosphere. Young men actually are supportive of gender rights, any demographic. What they're doing is they're moving away from the Democratic Party because they don't feel seen. On the DNC site, there's an explicit section that says who we serve, and it lists 16 different demographic groups, from people of faith to immigrants to Asians, Pacific Islanders, Blacks, women, disabled, veterans. I tried to calculate it. My best estimate is it covers 76% of the population. They have the same issue that universities have, or the DEI apparatus has at university. When you are explicitly advocating and favoring 76% of the population, you're not advocating for them, you're discriminating against the 24%. So unfortunately, these individuals feel shunned by what I'll call more progressive or the establishment. They're very drawn to anyone who feels their pain. And unfortunately, that void has been filled by some very negative voices.
Like who, Scott? Like fucking who?
So one of the things
name Scott.
One of the things I really enjoy about Scott Galloway is that he's a liberal, but he's pointing out the flaws, the chink in their armor, while at the same time still supporting Kamala Harris. When he does so, one of the things he says is that the way men are being ignored, and it's true. I'm going to say this real quick. Everybody, we're going to have like a little prayer circle. I want everyone to close your eyes. Everyone who's out there watching, I want you to close your eyes, okay? I want you to think about these two concepts and what faces come to your mind. Ready? Boss bitch energy and we don't need no man. I want you to think in your mind, what are the faces that come to your mind? You know who she is. She's got a wet ass. You know what I'm saying? She's got a big old booty. You know who I'm thinking about. Who is it? Okay, now open your eyes, okay? And who was speaking at the DNC rallies? Glorilla, Megan Thee Stallion, and fucking Cardi B. If you want to let men know you don't give a fuck about them, those are like, you couldn't have picked any more people. I want you to consider George W. Bush in 2004 being like, hey guys, I want to introduce to you Pimp C, Juicy J, and fucking 3-6 Mafia, guys. Support Republicans and Christianity. They'd be like, but what the hell are you doing? Like, hey, ready, guys? It's time for Project Pat and Willie D. They'd be like, what is wrong with you? No, because we wouldn't do that. In this situation, the reason why Cardi B is a legitimate figure in the Democrat Party is because what she's saying is woke. It's not that I'm sorry, as an artist, very talented. As a political figure, this is absurd. You had a woman who robbed a man, drugged him and robbed him while she was stripping, and she is speaking at a DNC rally. You have J-Lo up there warning us about Donald Trump. Why didn't you warn us about P. Diddy, J-Lo? Why didn't you warn us about her? Why didn't you warn us about P. Diddy? No, but you want to warn us about Donald Trump? It's ridiculous.
Michael, do you think that this election is less about race compared to when Obama ran?
No, it's more about race for the left than any time I've ever seen, and less about race for the right. But here's the thing with Obama. African-American men voted for Obama 95%. And then it gained progressively less in fact, the amount of African-Americans who voted for Biden was less in general, not just voted for Biden, but it was less. And we've seen that gap go down further and further. When you say it's more about race, for each party, it's more about race. So for instance, for one party, it's all gender politics, and the other party, it has to do with inflation. And we haven't even gotten into the concept of inflation.
I remember when Obama was running, I remember Republicans that were black were saying, I'm going to vote because we need our first black president. In this case, I feel like it's more about her being a woman more than her being a black woman.
But let me ask you a question. When you see them campaigning, who is like her biggest advocate? Like the biggest superstar in the Kamala campaign is who? It is Barack Obama. And when you watch the two of them together, do you feel that she is superior to Barack Obama? No one on their side of the aisle thinks she's superior to Barack Obama. Like you're watching as a Democrat and you're being like, I'm getting the fucking discount candidate. How can you feel any other way? How can you feel when you listen to Barack Obama? By the way, no one here on this side of the aisle is saying that Barack Obama is a magnificent candidate. Maybe not magnificent president, but as a candidate, he was unbelievable. As a speechwriter, for those of you who don't agree with me, I'll be your president too. When he said that shit, I was like, God damn, this man is incredible, an incredible speaker. And what we got is the discount Walmart version of Barack Obama.
Bro,
how do you know, even if you're a Democrat, how can you disagree with this?
I voted for Barack Obama. And I really wanted a black president, and I was like super liberal Democrat when I was younger. And then
you got that Rolex,
bro. When I got
you got that Rolex.
Oh man! Now he's betting millions on the outcome of the presidency.
1.8 million.
I'm from California. I was a gang member. I was doing gang activity when I was younger. Finally, like, got myself out of that and like started my own business. When I got to 50, here's a weird thing. When I got to 50 employees, and it was 48, and I wanted to grow my company. The moment Obamacare came about and was like, once you hit 50 employees, I had to come out of pocket $250,000 I didn't have. And it was going to put me out of business.
Jet.
But it was going to put me out of business. I had to slow down my business just to wait until the next election to just get out of that mess. And I could have, it was just a weird scenario. And I remember just being so focused on wanting to be a Democrat, right? But now I'm kind of in the middle now. And especially like when you're talking about race, and that's interesting to me because like when you said part of the reason why you're voting or you're for Kamala is also for racism in this country. I like racism.
Well, I
like racism. You know what? If there is racism, if there is racism, I like the fact that a white man will tell me, race me, but you can't wear no shoes. And I still want to win. I still want to beat him and then feel like a lot more gratification from that win, which is what like most of my life has been about. Just people knocking me or giving me disadvantages, but still, I like the idea of having it be harder and still winning. So even if there was racism, if there was or wasn't, it's just, I don't think it should be a situation that should hold you back, I feel.
You like challenges. You like competition.
I love challenge.
See?
I mean,
I don't, however, think that the right side pushes racism. I think that that's more of like in a hidden way. It's right in front of everyone's faces, but people pretend it doesn't exist. They are pushing that more than anything. They are the ones that are putting races against each other when she stands on stage and she says that Donald Trump is a racist. What has he said in this recent campaign that says anything about Black people that is negative, or about Asians, about Hispanics, about anyone? It's her that stands on stage. Her whole campaign, she can't campaign without saying his name. Mm-hmm. Everything is about Donald Trump. When she's asked interview questions, she starts it off with Donald Trump. Why don't you answer the question that somebody asked you? And when people, like, to bring it back to what you said about voting on race or voting, it's our first. I've seen so many videos on TikTok where girls are like, I think it's great to have a first female president. What could happen? Well, we've had 3.5 years to tell us what could happen. Yeah. And then she's on The View, or I think it was either The View or CNN, where they asked her, would you change anything in this course that you've been with Joe Biden for the last 3.5 years? And she said, nothing comes to mind. So if you like paying $500 for your groceries, depending on what car you drive, if you like paying $100 to fill up your tank, then that's what you're going to get if you decided to vote for her. I mean, it comes down.